Good morning, it's Hiker Dude Dad, and we are in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania today. We are on the search of the lost battlefields of the war. We've got a big crew today. We're getting ready to go find this. Let's go. We mounted up in Lancaster this morning and put together an all-star caravan of creators. The Wandering Woodsman, Cliff, is down there. He's along for the ride. Cole Swanger, he put this trip together. You can find him on Instagram. He does awesome photography. Trying to escape already is Brett from Topo Ranger. So I do want to preface this video by saying that this is part of Gettysburg National Military Park that is fully surrounded by private property. Cole has secured permission from the owner of the land to explore here. You have to jump through a couple hoops and find it, but that I think kind of proves that you're, really into it and you'll be respectful of the property. So before you think about doing this hike, think about reaching out to the property owners to get permission. But we are headed towards Neill Avenue, or as it's become known, Lost Avenue. It's one of the least visited locations in Gettysburg National Military Park. It was named to honor General Thomas Neill and his 6th Corps Brigade. General Neill was sent here to guard the rear flank of the Union Army and, most importantly, protect Baltimore Pike, which is still a major road today. So here's remnants of a wall that was used. You can see the rocks stacked up here. A lot of natural boulders here. This area I think was an orchard back in the day. There's a lot of, the fields here around Gettysburg. Well, we're already at the point. We just passed through the owner's, backyard here, and we can already see some of the monuments and walls right up there along the ridge. That's where we're going. It's Lost Avenue, but it's not by any means remote. It's not gonna be a long hike at all. So the appeal of Lost Avenue here is it's basically a time capsule. Because it's on private land and the landowner, he's a big Civil War buff. He is very respectful of the war and the history involved, and he has worked diligently to protect the property. But it's basically a time capsule that's remained untouched since these monuments were erected in the late 1800s. Battle of Gettysburg, 1863. There's 3 days in July, and it was in the 1890s, I think, that the monuments that we'll see very soon were erected. Lost Avenue is the last section of the battlefield that looks exactly as it did when the soldiers fought and died here. So it's just on the other side of this wall. I hopped over because it looks like, this may have been a road, and a couple big trees have sprouted up here. But then you come here and you just look down the road here. This is Neill Avenue. This is Lost Avenue. Lost Avenue is the last pristine section of unpaved roadway. None of the roads in Gettysburg, were ever intended to be paved. And a lot of them were, with people visiting the park. But Lost Avenue is a 40-foot wide strip. It's lined by the original stone fence on both sides. The 2nd Virginians and the 1st North Carolinians fought behind these fences. It was made of field stones picked by farmers over the years. It predates the battle. So here we go, Neill Avenue. because of the landowner's vigilant protection and upkeep of the land here, not one stone has been moved, repaired, or replaced. Here you go. If they fell down, they fell down. Not one stone moved or replaced since the Civil War. It is a time capsule. It is frozen in time. So these are some of the best preserved monuments that you'll find in the entire military park. This is the 49th New York monument. It was commanded by Colonel Daniel Bidwell of Buffalo. He was an attorney in civilian life and a colonel in the Army. Neill's brigade was part of the 6th Corps and was one of the last brigades to get to the field on July 2nd. They encountered some Confederate troops behind the stone wall to the rear of these monuments. Those Confederates threatened the security of Baltimore Pike. Neill's men came up the hill to push them out. The brigade took casualties during this movement and set up their positions right here where these monuments were located. So for the soldiers that were positioned here, hunkered down behind these walls, it was the Confederate left flank and the Union right flank. To these soldiers, July 3rd was not about Pickett's charge. This was the end of the line for these guys. Lost Avenue was about skirmishing in these woods, kind of guerrilla fighting, snipers in the shadows, withering gunfire from the fields, the trees, the stone walls here on Wolf Hill. 20 or more Union soldiers were killed here. No one knows how many rebels died here. Yeah, for these soldiers on both sides, this was the final battle of the war for them. Along that stone wall, we have another little stone for the 49th New York Infantry. Not sure what the RF means. Beside it is a stone for the 7th Maine Infantry. It's marked July 3rd. It has an L on it. So there's where we entered Lost Avenue, and we're walking eastbound. This is the south side, the north side. There's a couple more monuments up this way. Yeah, I had hoped that Maine had a bigger monument than that little stone that was back there, and this is it. Look at this thing. This is like a Captain America shield or something. A lot of these monuments are just big pillars, yeah, crosses or something. This is amazing. This is like a shield laying on a stone. July 3rd, 1863. The 7th Maine Infantry, 3rd Brigade, 2nd Division, 6th Corps. They were commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Selden Connor, a law student before the war, who after the war served as governor of Maine. 2 former Maine officers eventually served as governors of Maine, but that's who they were commanded by. This is beautiful. This is one of the coolest memorials, monuments I've seen here, honestly. This is really cool. And not many people see this. We are on Lost Avenue. So I had said, you know, we're coming up here. Down here is the south. Up here is the north. It was actually the rebels that were here on this side of the wall defending, and it was General Neill's forces that were coming up here to move them out. Do you guys know the significance of these little ones? Because they have like a letter designation on the bottom.
It's the position of the different regiments that were here. You'll see sometimes you'll see like LF, which would have been like left flank.
Okay.
So this might have been like the rear
or something. Yeah.
Yep. So they would have been positioned here.
Yeah, I think there was a LF back there on one of them, the New York or the Maine.
Yep,
so left flank, okay, and rear. All right, so these mark troop positions along here. Yeah, because I got to that Maine one first. I'm like, oh, I hope they have a bigger monument, and then it's one of the best I've ever seen in my life, you know? Okay, good. Yeah, love the teamwork of having these history buffs here with me. This is awesome. This is a great trip. Here you go, the 43rd. We saw the 49th New York earlier. So this is the 43rd, and this is the left flank of where they were posted up. Almost up here at another monument. This is, I want to say, probably for the 43rd New York. Yeah, 43rd New York Infantry, 3rd Brigade, 2nd Division, 6th Corps, arrived on field 4 p.m. July 2nd, 1863. Held this position from the morning of July 3rd until the close of the battle. The 43rd was commanded by Lieutenant Colonel John Wilson from Albany, New York. So on the north wall, this is the second big gap that I've seen, so I don't know if there were more kind of cross streets going on here, but yeah, never paved, never intended to be paved. Just like most of the roads in Gettysburg. You know, horse traffic, foot traffic, carriages and whatnot. In fact, Cole said, these may have settled out, but these monuments were originally tilted backwards a little bit because of all the horse traffic on this road. The monuments, actually you can see just the slightest angle of the face of the monument, but they were tilted up to be viewed by horseback, as was the transportation in the day that would be coming down these roads. The Army of the Potomac, 6th Corps, 2nd Division, 3rd Brigade. This is for the 61st Pennsylvania Infantry. They also list the other brigades that were here for the North, 7th Maine, the 43rd and 49th, and 77th from New York. I haven't seen a monument for them. But here's a good timeline. July 2nd arrived after a march of 33 miles from Manchester, Maryland. About 6 p.m. was detached from the Corps and ordered by Major General G.G. Meade to hold Powers Hill. Later was ordered by Major General H.W. Slocum to support the front line, but at midnight was ordered to Powers Hill. On July 3rd, the brigade, by order of Major General Slocum, crossed Rock Creek and took position on the extreme right of the army, making connection with the cavalry pickets, and encountered and checked the advancing Confederate sharpshooters and skirmishes, and remained until the close of the battle. Casualties from the Pennsylvania 61st were 1 officer, 1 man wounded, 11 men captured or missing, total of 15. One more of these blocks, as far as I can tell, for the 43rd New York Infantry. This was their right flank. We saw their left flank earlier. So we're just about at the end of Lost Avenue here. I'm going to throw up the 360 camera and just walk the length of it, walking westbound. I'm again back here at the west end of Lost Avenue where I started, and as I was walking this way I saw one more of these marker for the 49th New York left flank. So Rock Creek is down there. That goes back to kind of where we parked at Baltimore Pike. So great to just have that feeling that like not a lot of people have seen this, and the way it's been preserved, just absolutely exactly as it was back then, is incredible. All right, so we're leaving Lost Avenue and headed east. So we go into the woods here, no more wall. And we're gonna come up on this hill. I see another monument up there. So this monument, I think, is the real 61st Pennsylvania monument. This one is just the 61st. The one down below seemed to be kind of a group monument. I misinterpreted that. So this is the full Pennsylvania one up here into the woods just off Lost Avenue. All right, well, that's about the end of Lost Avenue. I'm gonna catch up with the fellas here. Check the links in the description for their channels, Cole and Cliff and Brett. Thanks to them for coming along. If you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and we'll see you next time.